fantastic day today. On this channel, I make videos about minimalism and intentional living twice a week, so if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely be sure to do so below. Today, I'm going to be answering a question that I get asked pretty frequently, and this might be a little bit of a rambly video because I'm going to share kind of my story. So, I got married at the age of 19, which is really young. I was still in college, my husband had already graduated, and yeah, I'm going to share the story of how we met, what our parents thought when we said we were going to get married. We've been married for 1.5 years now, so what that looks like for us, housing, I'm still in school, so we're going to be talking about a lot of things. I hope that you guys enjoy this video and stick along for the ride. Christopher and I actually met like 3 years ago, probably 3 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, at it was called Broom Ball. It is this college Halloween party that we did, and everyone dresses up in costumes and there's this crazy costume contest, and I saw Christopher there and thought his costume was awesome. He was Bucky from the Captain America Winter Soldier, and I thought his costume was awesome, and I didn't say hi because I was too scared, and I thought he was like a cool person, and I don't know, it was ridiculous. But anyways, so this was actually an event with a local church college group. And so I had just started attending that church college group, and I guess he'd been going for quite a while, and so the following Tuesday they had an event, and we kind of just met casually, and I don't know, he introduced himself, we talked for a bit, didn't think anything of it, and then over the next few weeks I kind of noticed that he's like kind of getting interested, and so we start hanging out, we go on a couple like Panera dates, and you know, a couple weeks later it ends up turning into a relationship, and we start dating. It was a lot of fun. It was kind of interesting. He was always the kind of person that I wanted to marry, and I knew that going into dating, and he was also, I don't know, when he met me, he was very much like, this is the person I'm going to marry. So I think with both of us having that kind of opinion, things just kind of moved along faster than they would normally. We dated for almost a year. I think it was 11 months before Christopher proposed. And over the course of that time, we really just got to know each other. We were in each other's lives. We met each other's families. And really, I think our love and respect and admiration for each other just continued to grow over that time. It wasn't like when we started dating where we were like, okay, let's get married. But, well, maybe Christopher, but I definitely wasn't on that page. But yeah, so that kind of just turned into a pretty serious relationship. And then there was this crazy thing where Christopher thought he was going to have to work in Malaysia. And I basically told him, well, if you're going to work in Malaysia, I'm coming with you. Malaysia didn't end up working out, but it was a perfect excuse to get engaged. So on the Saturday before American Thanksgiving, Christopher proposed to me at the Biltmore in Asheville. And it was a really fun day. I loved it. 7 months later, we ended up getting married. As far as my parents and his parents' opinions in all of this goes, I guess we kind of got lucky on that front. I know my parents got married pretty young. My mom was 21 and my dad was 23. Definitely not quite as young as I was, but they were kind of in that same sort of age range. I think they also recognized that Christopher and I definitely are probably maybe more mature than other people our age, or at least we were in a place where we could take on that kind of responsibility. So I was still in school. I was finishing up my sophomore year, I think, when he proposed to me. Yeah, sophomore year. But he had already graduated, he had a full-time job, and so they weren't so much worried about can they make this work financially, because we did, between him working full-time and I did a part-time internship that also paid between the two of those things. Like, we definitely had enough to make ends meet, on our own or whatever. So the financial thing wasn't as much of an issue. They thought that we were mature and kind of going about it the right way. We definitely didn't haphazardly rush into it. This was definitely something that we thought through and talked through. We had a plan, and I think that by us showing the responsibility of, having a plan, having predetermined that we could make it work financially, all those things like that, we were really able to see, okay, this really can work, and our parents could recognize that too. It also helps that Christopher's parents like me and my parents like Christopher, which I know definitely helps play a part in that because they trust both of us, and that's fantastic. As far as actually, the process of after we got married, finding a place to live and things like that, we're definitely not rich. I am still in college. I don't make a full-time income. Christopher's only been working for a few years, so, it's not like our incomes are anything crazy or anything like that. I definitely had to work part-time so that we could, afford an apartment and also to be saving money and, afford a comfortable lifestyle for us, I guess. That kind of the affording it aspect is Christopher had already graduated, and I had a job that was not only giving me experience in my degree, which was really important to me, but it was also paying, enough, which was also great. So it was that kind of combination that allowed us to afford a place to live. Now, I don't want to glamorize it at all, because this is like a tiny little one-bedroom apartment from the 80s. It had like a really weird carpet and this tiny little box of a kitchen. Like, it wasn't anything beautiful, but it was a place to live, and we loved that. And could we buy a house right now? Could we afford that? No, we couldn't, but we could afford an apartment. We can afford rent. It's all about figuring out what is financially in your means and really making sound decisions with your money and with your resources. So anyways, enough rambling about that. Let's just kind of go ahead and do a quick overview of the past year. It has been one of the best years of my life. I love being married, and I think that was one of the best decisions that we ever made. It's fantastic knowing that I've committed to spend the rest of my life with someone, and that Christopher has done the same for me. I think that's really, really special. But at the same time, it does have its challenges, and granted, I'm 21 now, so I don't get quite as weird looks when I tell people I'm married, but I still look like I'm in high school, so I still get weird looks when I tell people I'm married. I really, really love it. I highly recommend it. I think the best thing about being married young for me is that, for some people, they want to build a life, establish themselves, and then introduce somebody in. And I feel like that's a really common mindset and mentality just in this day and age. People don't get married till they're like 30 and, midway through their careers or whatever. But for me, what I love about getting married young is that I get to build my life with someone. The first time I moved out of my house at the age of 19 was with my husband, and I didn't experience, being on my own or playing in the field or whatever else you want to do, but that wasn't who I am. That wasn't really an interest of mine, and I found the person that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, and I committed to that. Scary, yeah, kind of, but totally worth it. And like I say, this past, year and a half or whatever has been the best time of my life. We have gotten to travel, we've gotten to do so many fun things together, and it's just this priceless thing that I wouldn't trade for anything. I guess if you are younger and you are looking to get married, I would definitely recommend it, but I would recommend a couple of resources maybe as well. I definitely recommend pre-marriage counseling. Christopher and I went through that, not because we had any problems, but because we wanted to really talk through what we thought of marriage as being and make sure we were on the same page with marriage. The process of marriage counseling made us ask some questions that are important, like how many kids do you want, when do you want them, who's going to be, cooking dinner, in a very fun environment, but really asking tough questions that you really want to have asked before you get married rather than after. So I highly recommend marriage counseling of some kind. And also I really recommend going through some kind of financial counseling. One of the main reasons people end up in divorce in the United States, at least, is because of money trouble and So definitely be on the same page with that. Christopher and I went through Financial Peace University, which Dave Ramsey does, and that was invaluable to us just in terms of setting up our finances, and so that even on our, pretty small income, we were able to, not only afford the things that we need, but also be able to save money in that entire process. So those are probably my two main recommendations. And then also, I just recommend asking yourself, be sure, is this the person I want to spend the rest of my life with? Because I really do believe that marriage is a lifelong commitment and that you shouldn't go into it, haphazardly. This is something that really should be, one of the most well thought through decisions of your life. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts, my story, everything like that. I'm sure this was super rambly because, your life story always is rambly when it really comes down to it. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or if you want to share your own story, I would love to hear about it. Definitely be sure to leave that in the comments below. And yeah, I hope that you guys have a fantastic day today. Remember that if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I'd love it if you do so today. And yeah, you guys have a fantastic day today. I'll see you in the next video.